morning. It is Friday, August 16th, 2024. This is Option Pit Live. I am Mark Sebastian. I am joined by one, Leisha J. Leslie, the Queen of the Candlesticks. Welcome. Good morning. How are you, Leisha?
I'm doing okay. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing all right. It's happy to see you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I see you are back in Naples. You look nice and relaxed.
It's Friday.
It is Friday. Is Grant back at school?
Grant starts school Monday. Yes, he's back at school.
Oh, nice.
Doing all the
junior year?
rushing for the fraternity. Yes, junior.
Oh, wow. That is crazy.
It's crazy, right?
It is crazy.
How fast?
I feel like it was just a minute ago that I was usurping your desk in Chicago, and I had that little picture of him in 5th grade sitting on the desk next to me.
Yeah. It's insane.
So good. Well, as we're speaking, futures have taken a little bit of a turn.
I see that.
We just did get some economic data. We have housing starts, and we have a couple other pieces of economic data. Nothing crazy, but the futures just took a nice dive. We're currently down about almost 0.5% in the S&P. NASDAQ futures are down about 0.5%. Dow Jones futures are down, call it 0.2%. And Russell futures down about 0.3%. But it has been such a rip on this move. Just an absolute incredible rip. What do you make of this move that we've seen since last week? I mean, it's like dip and rip, right? I mean, we have gone from an absolute tank job to almost back to the all-time highs in just a matter of a couple of minutes.
Sure feels like that, right? I mean, that was a fast sell-off. That runaway gapping, if I'll show you my SPX chart, that runaway gapping all the way down, that generally is, you would expect that to continue. That's, runaway gaps, 2 in a row. But the pitchfork support stopped it with an inverted hammer. And then, wow, I thought we were going to close, and I was saying we'll close the gaps and then maybe pull back a little further before recovering. And no, we're still rallying. Well, we weren't until today. Today's just beginning though, so you can still end up today.
Yeah, we might. I was looking at the different indexes, and yeah, folks, we had housing starts and building permits just hit. That's what caused that little extra dip here. I'm looking to see what that data was, because I'm not seeing it right now. Let's see. Oh, I am still looking. Housing starts. Oh, all right. Here we go. Here's why. All right. U.S. housing starts were minus 6.8% versus the estimate of minus 1.5%. Building permits down 0.4 versus the so like all the housing stuff missed, and that's why we had that little dip. The one that I think actually is going to move markets though today, Alicia, is consumer sentiment, and that's going to be the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey.
That's usually a big
out
one.
at 10 o'clock. the consumer has been so important to this economy. Obviously, they have no, as long as they're willing to take out debt and continue to spend, the economy can hold itself up. And because they feel like they can, stay ahead of the game, then the economy is going to be fine. So that has been the number that has mattered, and that is one that I want everyone to be keeping an eye on. So
Yeah.
yeah, your SPX chart absolutely blowing, just blowout. Qs might be even more vicious, right?
Kind of the same thing. They had that runaway gapping down the downside, hit support also. And now, yeah, runaway on the upside. Now, these previous highs right here are causing resistance. Yesterday stopped it out. So maybe a little pullback. If we were to close yesterday's gap, that would take Qs to 465.11. That'd be a pretty good move.
It would be.
We may just get a little inside day.
I think we're due. I mean, we've had so many vicious move days over the last 3 weeks. I mean, look at the size of the candles over the last few
Oh, yeah.
weeks. They're all, over 1%. I mean, we went for months and months and months without a 2% move. And then we've had multiple days of 2% moves up and down, 2% ranges, in a matter of a couple of weeks. So this may be just a short-term end to what has been a wild couple of weeks. Where do you, on the longer term, if we take a little break here, what are you kind of thinking for the rest of August? We've got big options expiration is this morning, for SPX, and for big equity options expiration is today. Kind of what's your longer term view of kind of the rest of the month, let's say through Labor Day? Are you liking the market through Labor Day, or are you a little more bearish?
Well, the fact that I had a downward sloping trend line here and we blew right through it. We've closed these gaps. This was closed long ago, so that is irrelevant. I'm thinking, yeah, we hold yesterday's low and we continue higher. I would say this is a 57.99.
Oh wow. 5,800?
That's a target.
Oh wow.
That's August 29th.
There you have
Well,
it.
we'll have to definitely reach these highs.
Yeah.
56.64. But think about it, that's not that much further than 56.64.
It's not. 6,000 is in the
And
future.
then the old adage of railing into the election.
It is the old adage. Now, the two indexes that I think actually do continue to have room to move, noticeably is the Russell 2000. It finally woke up on Thursday. What's your take here?
I like it to trade higher. It had this consolidation and it's holding the support as 209.5. I think it wants to close this gap, would take it to 215.06, and then above there 217.47. So yeah, this is bullish.
I agree.
Bullish on the charts.
And it's kind of, and if you compare the Russell to the S&P and the Qs, you can see the like it had that crazy outperformance right before the big sell-off.
Right.
And now, it's just starting to wake up. So I could see a scenario where, maybe we decide Apple isn't going to go up for the 10th day in a row. And so money decides to maybe buy a little bit of Russell 2000 instead of Apple. I'm not kidding you. It's been up for 9 days in a row.
I wrote about it last night.
Oh, okay.
I wrote about it last night. 9 days. This could be a little hanging man doji. And yeah, I recommended if we open and trade lower, that Apple could trade down here to 1970.
I think I think it's so we could see a little rotation. The other one out of those, so I think we could actually see a little bit of rotation even within the grade eight. Um, we just saw Amazon start to wake up yesterday. I don't know if you saw the move Amazon made yesterday. It was vicious,
Yeah.
but it is just starting to wake up here. And I think it's got some ground to catch up relative to some of the other names. I could see some money coming out of Amazon, out of Apple, and maybe an Nvidia, and into an Amazon or a Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah. That would close the gap. Sure. 181.42 would definitely close that gap, which it looks like it wants to. Now, I also wrote last night, though, I think longer term NVIDIA is going to 137.
Okay.
Bring it
Why
back up.
not?
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean we can't pull back a little bit. I think it
Yeah.
pulls back to the median line here might be an opportunity to go long it. But we do have earnings coming up. But yeah, I think longer term NVIDIA is going to 137.
Last chart I wanted to ask you about. While the market's been rallying, actually, I lied. I've got probably a couple more charts I want to look at. While the market's been rallying, Bitcoin. I don't know if you saw what happened to it yesterday. They
I
just came
have.
out and dunked on it.
They do not like it for some reason. Not sure why.
Yeah, they
It's
are
holding
dunking
support
on
here, but after this very, very bullish, very large green candle, I expected this to hold 60,527 and bull flag there, and it's failed. But it is holding support down here, 56.5. Yeah, not sure what's up with Bitcoin. Some reason they're hating it.
Yeah, they are hating it. And then obviously with the move, with all the moves, everyone is starting to ask about gold again. It's 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 been in a pretty strong bullish trend.
It's slowly walking up, holding my support all the way. Not, not crazy, crazy high flying, but definitely slowly higher highs, higher highs. It's heading that way.
Yeah.
Testing the previous high, just under 2,500 right now, but yeah, still holding that bullish pattern.
All right, and last but not least, energy.
Do we want to talk about that carry trade at all? How did it happen so fast?
I mean, it's crazy.
Oh, look at crude this morning.
I know.
Wow. It's so as soon as crude gets any kind of bid, they smack it down.
Yeah.
They do not want it to trade outside this range.
I think it's I think that that is indicative of a softening economy, if you wanted to ask me.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not like we've got an oversupply here. So that's a softening economy.
Yes, you're right.
So I don't know if there's one canary in the coal mine, that's probably it.
That could be it, right? Let's look at that carry trade.
Yeah.
There's
Let
where it
me.
started, and it just collapsed. Held support,
Mm-hmm.
bull flagged, rallied. Now today it's pulling back. Wonder if that's has any effect on our market, or if we're just done with that and we don't care anymore. Or,
I think we're done with that, and we don't care anymore. The one to watch is going to be kind of where do credit spreads end up. And when I say credit spreads, it's like pay attention to like how does high yield perform relative to credit worthy debt, and how does credit worthy debt perform relative to treasuries. And so you're going to want to keep an eye on HYG, on LQD, and IEF, and how those three, if you don't have Treasury futures or a Bloomberg, just watching those three. You can also do J and K instead of HYG.
HYG's got a double top going on here today.
I can't believe that thing is up. In it the there is serious issues in the commercial real estate market right now, and that is I believe, the housing bubble was what started 2008. It is going to be the commercial real estate market in 2025.
It's so funny because they've been talking about that for years now. I mean, we've talked about downtown Chicago being empty 6 years ago. I mean, well, I guess it wasn't that long. I guess it was since COVID, when we all came out after COVID. But like, how long does it take for it to?
Well, just because offices are empty doesn't mean people aren't paying their leases. But now we're starting to see leases.
How long can they do that though?
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying is we're starting to see actual empty office space. Yeah, Chicago is its own animal, but New York. The fact that there's, I would invite you to take a walk down Fifth Avenue in New York and look at all the empty space there, and that's where you got to be scared.
But it does seem to be lagging because I feel like we've been talking about commercial real estate at least 3 years, and yet it's still, we haven't seen any kind of.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Speaking of lagging, let's bring in one Andrew T. Giovinazzi, the Viking of volatility, to discuss today's current events. I'm kidding, Andrew. Good morning.
Well, I'm lagging to the show, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
You guys set the table. You serve the appetizers. And I'm kind of like wandering in with an entree or something after.
No. You're the main course. We're just the salad and the appetizer, and
everybody comes for Leisha. We know what the deal is.
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
So, all right, Andrew. Leisha and I were just talking. What do you make of the dip and rip that we just had?
Well, again, really, what I would say though with this is, I feel like it is kind of the shape of things to come. So, like when we were market makers, the dips feel like they took longer to develop. You've got global financial crisis, kind of took a while. Long-term capital, all the different kind of sell-offs and stuff we've had. Wars, those are we're always long-term kind of illiquid things. Now all of a sudden I feel like you have these funds, they all kind of pile into this idea. It's kind of like piling into NVIDIA, and sort of driving the NASDAQ higher. You remember when SoftBank in what was it, 2020, when they piled into all those upside calls in big tech, drove the vol sky high, the contango was nuts in VIX. And we looked at that like, well, this can't last forever. What the heck's going on? So I feel like they kind of force money into these corners. And then something kind of goes wrong and they got to get all out at once and it just blows up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have it like in an insane but sharp liquidity dislocation, and then the vol blows up. Another thing we have now is, the short vol funds, are they getting smarter? Meaning, they had like serious dislocation. We had a serious pop in VIX on Monday 2 weeks ago, and so VIX shot up there, but I don't really know if that high VIX print was tradable, right? Remember when we opened
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the markets were like super wide, right? So it's like, I mean, it might have printed 50, but I don't think the futures
I mean,
got
yeah,
that
I
high.
mean, from a trading perspective, I would say like the real number is probably closer to like 48, 49.
Yeah, like I'd say the future. I like from a closable trade point of view. I didn't see like the VIX futures more than like 32, maybe. Like realistically. So,
Yeah.
but when you're a market maker and everything opens and it's like, bah, what do? Everything's really wide. It is literally the worst time to get out. And
Sometimes
that's
it's
why
good.
actually I like to be able to trade SPY, like the SPY, just regular SPY, because it's down. It's the thing you can buy, right? It's the only thing that you could buy at the bottom was SPY, basically.
You know,
Like
you know what, what was
try,
interesting.
try to sell a put for anything close to how it was, traded.
You know what's interesting, and I'd love your guys' opinion. I think this kind of speaks to the house of cards that zero DTE is. And I love zero DTE, but on Monday the 5th, zero DTE is what generally about 50 some odd percent of the volume.
Yeah.
On
On the
Monday
day.
the 5th, that volume fell to 26%.
Well, it's also, who wants to trade zero DTE when the market's $10 wide?
Right.
Well, I was going to say they kind of made it difficult to trade them when they widened out the markets.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
well, and I think what I think the other piece is that when people realize that there might be a real systematic event, they don't want to just hedge in what's going to happen today. Right. You're going to start seeing action in the regular options, the August, your Septembers, your Octobers. I continue to look at options now as kind of two separate markets. There's the stuff that's expiring today, and then everything else.
Yeah, and I think that's what Noel from Convexity,
Convex Advisors.
Like smart guy, but he was talking. So there's so much focus on that it's leaving kind of, I would say, the 1 week, 2 week, 3 week weeklies.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, I'm not going to say it's mispriced. I just think it has.
No, I mean, I straight up
retail. I think it's better pricing, right? Because, like you said, if everybody's piling into single day with all their, whatever big brain stuff they're doing, it tends to let, and I like to play personally, like when the options are liquid but not super active, right? So
yeah.
you trade.
Well, no, I mean, I straight up
asked him
if
and you've
I
got
straight up asked it, Noel. By the way, guys, if you're not following Noel on Twitter, you should. At Noel Convex, I believe is let me double check his Twitter profile. I don't want to.
send it to the wrong place.
Send you the wrong
Another
people.
Convexity person. But I think that's
it's at
Noel
Convex.
That's a like trading. There's some there's opportunity there.
Yeah, I straight up asked him. I go, "Is it me or is the stuff?" I'm like, I feel like the stuff that's about like 2 weeks out is too cheap. And he just looked at me and I'm like, "Yeah, no, you're right." I was like, "Oh, okay." Didn't give me any context. Just said, "Yeah." So, last but not least, before we quickly talk about some stocks that we like, Warren Buffett's 13F. Now, obviously, we had the news out 2 weeks ago that he had cut his Apple holding in half. But I believe that was just more of a portfolio management piece, right? It had gotten too big, right? It was half of his portfolio. Folks, one stock generally should not be half of your net worth.
Right.
Right? Especially if you work for the company. That is called being Texas hedged. If you work for the company and your wealth is in that company's stock, ask how that worked out for all the Enron employees or all the Yahoo employees. I can think of some other versions of that. Broadcom. Not Broadcom, WorldCom. Thank you. Bank. So where he sold a little bit of Chevron, added Occidental, and added some Chubb Group. Thoughts on that, Andrew and Leisha? You buying Chubb?
Well, I think financial services.
Yeah.
Like it's, my trading vehicle today, but he's also looking for value in, which is kind of what he does. He's looking for I think he's looking for a little value in the portfolio. I thought the strangest one was Sirius Satellite. Like, do people actually use that? It's, I don't know. I guess so. And then, but I guess you could hear like radio news and stuff like that. So,
well, you got Howard Stern on there.
I'm thinking of changing the Wall Street Journal to it just because there's some financial news radio that I can hear and everything. But
you got, like I said, you got Howard Stern on there. You got what else? You got Mad Dog and on there.
It's an interesting content play, but I was surprised by how much he bought. Or one of their managers bought. But like you have to think like, Apple is a $3 trillion company. It's trading at a pretty expensive valuation. Everything he wanted to have happen with that position happened.
Yeah.
I mean, what did he get? A 6x return in what, 3 years, 4 years? I mean, where's it going from $3 trillion? They got to sell 1 billion phones a year at this point. So and he still has a huge chunk. It's still the biggest part of his portfolio.
Yeah, it's 30% of his portfolio.
Yeah, he's not like he's going to if Apple goes up, he's going to be kicking himself. He's still going to do fine. So, yeah. But when you think about it, that just means that he's taking huge money off, and now he can go buy one of any other stocks in the universe with all the dough he just made. Like,
yes.
You don't become one of the best investor in the world by doing stupid crap. And sounds to me like the smartest thing to do. But what do I know?
Isn't he passing the baton?
I think probably to an extent, yes. Again, I don't know exactly.
I thought I read that he was passing it on and letting the next guy have his mark on it or his.
Right. And you could guess that, I don't think buying Apple is necessarily his idea. He probably got, pitched it from his investment group or whatever. Again, just guessing, because he wasn't never a technology guy, but you can see there's a little technology in there, but there's not a ton when you look at his portfolio.
Yeah.
So, I could see them dabbling in and out of it, but, and I think one of the problems was but I guess Apple has enough of a monopoly. I wouldn't say monopoly, but I would say, a dedicated user base. And that's the kind of business that he likes in general. People have, they like iPhone or, Android. I mean, that's it. Until that gets upended, I don't see that changing very much. It's just how much you want to pay for Apple at this point.
Speaking of things upended, NVIDIA has upended the whole market. Leisha, you were looking at last week. You gave us coin. This week you wanted to kind of throw out. You were coin. Look, nice little week actually. It's a little choppy, but
it's actually, for what Bitcoin has done, it's held up in my opinion. Yeah. And like I said last week, I like coin longer term.
Yeah.
But yeah, it held up, I think, for Bitcoin not going anywhere and actually going lower. I think this is going to head back to the 260 area eventually. Not tomorrow, not next week. But yeah, I think it's bottomed out here. I do.
And then you were looking at NVIDIA. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Like I said, again, longer term, it's going to come back and revisit these highs.
I like it.
137.
So I had said it was time to get back into Qualcomm last week. It finally started breaking out again after just a brutal couple of weeks. I still like it higher. And then I think I like Amazon up to 180, and then I like Amazon. I continue to like Qualcomm higher, and then I like Amazon up to 185.
Yes, Amazon's definitely on its way to closing that gap. I agree with the other.
Yeah. So, and you know what I like about Amazon?
But
I
fast
like
delivery.
that they have those really cool blue trucks that drive around my town. They're like my delivery vehicle. The only thing I like more than my delivery vehicle is Andrew's trading vehicle, where Andrew's going to tell us exactly how he's delivering his trade idea this week while Alicia and I go grab a cup of coffee. Andrew, take it away.
Always a good intro, I have to say. So today, if you guys put the, thank you. So again, so when I'm looking at trading, like I have stocks that I want to add to my, let's say, retirement account, right? I want to buy stocks. And I keep a list. So if you're trading, I have probably about 160 names on the list. And I find it easier, besides trading basically just SPY and the vol products, having a list of names where when they become interesting. So again, if you're an investor, you want to buy stuff when it's cheap. And then, again, Warren Buffett, good example. He raises cash and gets ready to buy. So you need to see the stocks in a good place. So here, I think this is a great example of one where Robinhood is traded as low as 13 in the middle of the year, maybe started the year at 10, traded as high as 25. And in that shock, and everybody thought the bottom was going to fall out, traded as low as 14 bucks. So they had great earnings. They're growing assets like crazy, like huge growth ramp. So I think this would be an opportunity. Now the question is sort of how do you want to trade it? And in my mind here, just looking at the chart, like it's had a steady. It basically looks like the market. It's kind of cruising up. I think it doesn't have any trouble getting back to 22 easily. Shouldn't have any trouble doing that. I think actually it should be like a $25 stock by the end of the year. I'm long it. I also own options via like risk reversal. So I had sold some puts into this, into the drop last week, and I'm just using the credit on the puts to buy calls. However, if I were to do it again, you have relatively low volatility here. So this green line below you can see is 90-day, 120-day volatility, basically at a 6-month low. I think that is mispriced personally. Now, why is it like that? Well, because it spiked up to a ton, and traders, once they saw the sky wasn't falling, they probably sold puts in this thing like crazy, driving the volatility down. You could see that longer term vol, like 120-day volatility at an 80%, and even 2 to 3 days later, still at around 75%. You were selling the 15 puts, for two and a half bucks, something like that. So great opportunity. But now the volatility is almost the lows of the year. So I think you switch gears. Looking at the 20 calls in September, 21 calls in September. There's a little bit of upside skew in here. So I could say you could see 20, 25 call spread. So in here with the vol so low, I'd be more switching gears and looking like at calls and call spreads. I think the put selling opportunity, anytime the stock is below 15 again, I'll sell more puts. But here, I think the risk reward kind of flips to the calls. Now, also that they're growing assets, I could see some bank buying them. And Mark was mentioning like Chubb or like any financial services company that wants kind of the millennial trader. I think it's now a pretty good acquisition target. So for the most part, I would prefer calls over call spreads to give you that maybe lift if it was taken out at 27, $28 or something, which I still think would be a bargain. For like a large financial services company that wants to add, the customer base that they have. I don't know if Hood would sell, but anyway, I think at this point it's becoming more and more of an acquisition target. So, when the vol spikes, sell some puts. But right now, I think like the 20 calls are trading only. The SEP 20 calls are probably like right around. They're only $1.06, not very much money. The stock is still showing some volatility. It's trading around a 60 vol for the last 30 days. So that is 3-4% a day, which gets you about 60, 65 cents a day, 70 cents a day on average move. So you get a couple of good days. I think the 20 calls would pay you pretty easily in September. And I would say that's my trading vehicle. So first, have a list of stocks, set up alerts when they get to a certain place. Have a strategy in mind when the stock gets there, and then execute to the strategy. And that way, instead of you trying to watch the market for all this stuff, you're letting your platform watch the market for you. And it makes it a lot easier. Wait for things to come to you, and don't spend a lot of time trying to chase stuff. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And hopefully that is helpful. There we go. There it is.
Nice vehicle. Thank you for the lift, Andrew.
You're welcome.
All right. It is 9:11, 8:11 Central Time, the real time. And as I am speaking, S&P futures are down about 24 handles, call it 0.4%. The Russell is down about 0.5%. The NASDAQ is down 0.5%. VIX futures are up 0.25%. And what do you make of today? Is today the breather? We've got options expiration today. We've had this massive run up. What's your prediction for Friday, August 16th, ATG?
Oh, I was going to let Leisha go first, but I think today will be on the 5th day the market rested. So I'm going to go with not a lot of activity from here. Although there might be something. Isn't Kamala supposed to give some economic pronouncement today at some point? Is it after the market or during the market?
Is the DNC convention this weekend?
I think it's like 19th to the 21st, something like that. So we're not quite yet. I think it's right around VIX expiration, to be honest. But I thought she was giving some economic, they're already leaking balloons about her giving $25,000 away to everybody that wants to buy a house. Like where we're going to get that money with the $3 trillion deficit, I don't know. But hey, what the heck? I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Hey, we haven't bought a house yet.
Go you, Leisha. Way to wait.
So, so there might be a little bit of noise around that. I would be surprised. And once again, we have more data coming out, but we sell off on a Friday. We look at those lows, and then ever since that low print, you talked about it, Mark, what's the future doing since then? It's just going slowly back up. So yeah, it would not surprise me if we were unched today. By the end of the day, I don't expect us making much of a new high, but I think the run to 5,600 though, prior to the election, probably before September expiration, is a real run. But like right now, the market wanted to get right back to 5,500, and we're here. So
Yeah.
I think we need some good news now. Good
All
news is
right.
good news again.
LJL, what do you got?
I think it's going to have a little bit of a pullback. I say I agree with Andrew and said it earlier. Definitely higher from here. Yesterday's low will be support this morning. Watch that. And below there will be that gap. So watch the top of the gap there. But yeah, I think maybe just a little bit of a breather. It's summertime. It's Friday. People are a little tired of these big moves, but higher further, higher into the future. Maybe not today, but definitely next week.
Well, I think that we're going to have that clip of Andrew saying, if you're buying a house, you get $25,000, and you saying, I haven't bought a house yet. And then we're going to have Justin do the thing where they put the sunglasses over your eyes, and then it goes to Snoop Dogg music in the background. I think that is 100% going to happen. I can guarantee Justin is going to clip that. So be on the lookout for that, folks. I got to tell you, every time I think we were going to get some sort of softening, it has failed to materialize. So why not turn around today? Let's see him buy this and rip it. We see options expire this morning, and then maybe they buy it up. I'm with you both. I think it's inside, but I would be less than shocked if we end the day green by as much as we're down today.
I'm feeling Columbus on VIX 1492. That's what I'm feeling today for the close.
There you have it, folks. All right. Well, it is 9:15. We are up against it. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank everybody for their time, and we can't wait to see you next week. We're here every Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 Central, 6:30 Mountain, 5:30 Pacific. So for Andrew T. Giovinazzi, the Viking of Volatility, and Alicia J. Leslie, the Queen of the Candles, the Duchess of the Doji, I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. This was Option Pit Live.
Have a good weekend.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.